CSULB Common Cell Sorter. This is the Sony S8800 training. First things first, the emergency contacts. Emergency contacts are located on the first page of the user's guide. The user's guide is located on the Beachboard site under CSULB Research Training. If you found these videos, then you can pop out and you can find and grab the user's guide. You'll want to have this with you at all times when you're using this machine. Training consists of these Beachboard training videos, a read-through of the Cell Sorter user guide, and then you're going to have to go through and do BSL-2 training, and that's done through the CNSM safety office. You're going to have to bring proof that you've completed that when you come to the in-person checkout. There's more about the in-person checkout on page 3 of the user guide. The in-person checkout and quiz is hosted by Dr. Deborah Fraser.
Hello, my name is Dr. Deborah Fraser. I'm an Associate Professor in Biology and an Immunologist here at CSULB. Today I'm going to show you how to set up the Sony SH800 cell sorter for your flow cytometry experiment. If you are new to flow cytometry, I really recommend you first watch my introduction to flow cytometry video, and that'll give you an overview of the technique. So if you are interested in using this instrument, you need to contact me to set up a 1-hour hands-on training after watching this video. So first, let's start with some biosafety considerations. When you run material through here, most likely it may be a biohazard, or at least the person before you may have run a biohazard. So anyone using this instrument must be trained in the appropriate use of biohazards, and that safety training is done by our CNSM safety office. So please contact them before you set up time to be trained on this instrument. You also, of course, want to be wearing appropriate PPE. That's going to include gloves and a lab coat. So you will see that the cytometer itself is housed in this biosafety cabinet. This should be on when you are running your sample. The instrument itself contains a laser and high voltage deflection plates. So don't ever try to take it apart, open any of the doors while your samples are running, as that would be considered dangerous. If you do spill samples in or around the cytometer, please make sure you disinfect it before moving on. So let's take a look at the setup. So this in here is the SH800 instrument. It's in a biosafety cabinet, and it has access here at the front through this glass door, as well as here on the side is another hatch for access to the side of the instrument. So below here you can see the fluidics cart. This is where you have your container for sheath fluid that's going to run your samples through. You have 70% ethanol. You probably don't need to worry about that. That's for me to clean the instrument. And over here is your waste tank. So this is where your samples will end up at the end of the run. This door here is your loading hatch. This is where you're going to load your samples. And we have lots of different options of holders for different sizes of tubes. So for example, 0.5 mil, 1.5 mil, 5 mil tubes, and 15 ml tubes. Over here is the computer that runs the flow cytometer. Below is the compressor that we will need to create the vacuum to run the samples. And up here are stocks of, for example, 10x sheath fluid that are freely available for you to use.
So when you're ready to use the instrument, before you use it, you'll have to reserve the instrument. It is found on this website here. It can also be found on the biology department's website under resources. Once you get here, you're going to want to choose cell sorter, and then you're going to want to pick the date you want to use it. And then you're going to put the time in. The time is in a 24-hour format. So what you'll do is if you want 7 a.m., it'll be 0700. If you want 7 p.m., it's 1900. And then you'll put your email, who your PI is, as well as your name. And make sure you keep that email, because that's the only way that you can cancel your booking if you're not going to use the machine. So keep the email that's going to be sent to you. It's a confirmation. And at the bottom, if you scroll all the way down, it'll say cancel. And if you want to cancel it, you'll just click that button. It'll bring you back here. And instead of the little button that says send, it'll say cancel. So make sure to cancel your reservation if you're not going to use the machine. Just make sure you hit that cancel button at the bottom of this screen.
So once you've been officially trained, you'll be able to use the instrument unsupervised. But before you start, make sure you signed up to use the cytometer, and there's an online reservation system for that. If lab restrictions are still in place, you also need to confirm with me that you are able to come into the room at the time that you've signed up for. So when you come, you're obviously going to bring your samples with you. You should also bring a 50 ml conical with 10% bleach in it, freshly prepared, as well as 1 liter of bleach, and that will be used for the waste container. So before you switch on the instrument, I recommend you check in the logbook to see if anyone has noted any problems with the cytometer recently. And that way you can kind of prepare yourself in case there's any issues. You also need to sign the logbook before you leave as well. So let's get started. We're going to turn on the blower and the light for the safety cabinet up here. And make sure the sash is at the red arrows. You will need to open it occasionally and it will start to make a big noise, but there is an alarm reset button right here if the noise is driving you crazy. So next we're going to check levels. Here's the sheath fluid container. You want to pressurize it by pulling this loop, and that way you'll be able to open the tank. Just pull up on this handle and push down. And the tank only has about 20% full, so we're going to add some more sheath fluid. It holds about 10 litres, and I usually top it up by 4 litres at a time. We have this measuring cylinder that's a 4 litre cylinder ready and available for you to use, and 10x sheath fluid. You want to make it with DI water that we use here. So to switch on, just press down on the blue button and it'll start dispensing purified water. And I'm going to fill it up to the 3.6 litre mark and add my 400 mLs of 10x. Once we get to 3.6 litres, I'm just going to press down and stop. And then I'm going to add my 10x sheath fluid up to this 4 litre mark. Carefully pour it into the bucket. I'm going to give that a rinse. And I'm going to put the sheath fluid away back on the shelf. Putting the lid back on is the opposite of what you did to take it off. Push down tightly, and don't forget to move the disc back into a lower position. If you want, you can shake it a little to mix. Just be very gentle putting things back down on the cart, because there is a balance that is measuring how much fluid is in each container. Next, we want to empty out the waste. So we're just going to remove the cap, rest it here for now. And this is going to go straight down the sink. You want to run water when you run it down. Now the samples in here have been neutralized with bleach, because we're going to have a liter of fresh bleach at the bottom of our waste tank at all times. just reattach the cap when you're done. The last fluid you need to check is inside, and this is your DI water. It's nice and full right now, but if you needed to fill it, you would unclip and push in here to remove the wire, and then you would simply go to the sink and fill this up. So these connectors release just by pushing in that little silver button and lifting out. And then to put it back in, just push down until you hear a click.